terms of misrepresentation in the arts of women. I'd like to ask you all, which is question 3, how do you apply your body and your identity to your art? And what does that mean for you?
As a performance artist, which is different to theatre making, I think, because performance art asks us to use our body as a political statement. Talking about Women's Month, you know, the way we gender each other is the way we also begin to behave toward each other. For me as a performance artist, I want, particularly as a disabled person, there's an interesting thing that happens when you're disabled, is that people feel they can look at you, but the way that they look at you doesn't feel good. They could either pity you, or they could feel that there's something about you that is ugly or not right, asymmetrical, atypical, not normal. It can be used often when you look at a disabled person to make yourself feel better about being able. So I'm concerned with putting my body in front of an audience and saying to them, I'm going to control the gaze this time. You may look, you may watch, but because I'm controlling the gaze, what you may see is not what you thought. That's why we do live art. Start using your filters, but by virtue of what I believe that I am. And this is also about the ageist issue. I'm 52. You might not feel that I have some validity in some way that maybe a younger person does. But as you watch me, I'm going to challenge those things with my body and express my disability and my age and myself in a way that allows you to also question the filters that you have when you watch. I'll control the gaze, you look at me, and what you see may be different to what you imagine that you might. So that's why I use my body in performance art. Absolutely. And that's why I believe it's important also to create spaces, particularly my curated space, Body Politic, where we're, as a queer family, really use our bodies a lot in the space to question, to provoke, and to be political in our bodies, because having a body is political.
You know, I have a very interesting relationship to the body, not only my own but of others as well, because usually I'm a writer director, so I use other people's bodies to tell a story. I'm not shy when it comes to representing myself in my form, right, which is a Black female body with bodacious curves, if I may say so myself, and dreadlocks and all sorts of things. I'm very aware of how I'm viewed, and I'm not shy about presenting it the way that I want to. So for an example, I performed in a festival last year. It was an international festival. I was very aware that I was the only African person. And I thought to myself, what am I going to be showing these people, since I'm the only person, not only from South Africa, but from Africa? Because I know they have a very distinct idea of what a Black female dancer does. Clear to the festival that I'm not going to come, you know, with beads and drums things. I made it very clear. I'm like, this is not, you think I'm going to do that, it's not going to happen. And they were like, it's fine, it's fantastic. And I came, and I'm actually trained in a little bit of ballet. So I started, you know, performing this kind of routine where it was a mixture between ballet, contemporary dance, but also a lot of sports related movement. And the audience was very confused. Why is she dressed? Why does she have stockings on? Like, why? I got very upset. I got very, very upset with the audience, because I knew that that's not what they were expecting from me. They were expecting me, again, round, sheepskin or goat skin and all sorts of things. The fact that I came here in this form, right, already challenged them, already put a picture in their minds that, you know, a Black female body from South Africa can actually do a lot more than what you guys think is just, you know, tradition. I can do that stuff, but I can do other things as well. It's the work that I'm best known for, sainthood, right? I was dealing with male bodies only, adolescent male bodies to a mostly adolescent audience. And I was very aware of that. I was never a teenage man or teenage boy. I've never been that. But I took the time to truly understand what that may mean or how that may reflect to an audience, which I think sometimes people don't do, especially if they're representing other bodies. So I took the adolescent male form, which is usually steeped in a lot of aggression and a lot of confusion, a lot of anxiety, and I softened it. Lighting wise, I made softer colors. I didn't go for masculine colors like reds and blues. It's just like, we're just gonna beat each other. We're gonna be very aggressive. Peaches and pinks and purples, you know, and it worked. I'm not joking. Audience members would watch it and be like, wow, you lulled me into this. What was actually quite a very aggressive play, but because I paid attention to the aesthetic male form, how it's presented, seeing how they're consumed is something that is very, very important. There are so many different ways that you can exist, and art shows those ways that you can exist. Like for you, Kirsten, for example, right? They're always saying that you must stay at the forefront and be singing in front of the band or whatever, where you can actually subvert that. I'm not gonna look like the stereotypical jazz singer. If that's what you guys want me to look like, I'm not gonna look like that. Whether it's I'm wearing a gown in front of the microphone and moving all slender and all those things. Aesthetically, you can just go and it does wonders. It takes a screenshot in their mind. They already automatically know that this is something different. So yeah, that's my ramble about that. I'm sure you're gonna cut that later on.
I have been blessed enough to be brought up in an environment where I was celebrated for who and what I physically am. And when I qualified with my first drama qualification, I was again blessed enough to be taken in to a company where there was equality, sexually, physically, every area. But I've noticed that as I broadened my line of work or my experience, there was a greater need for me to hold on to my confidence in who I am. And because of that, I then made very strategic decisions to do work that bombs up the stereotypical mind. I made intentional decisions to take on work that a stereotypical mind would not give to a plus size woman. I would walk into auditions. If I have to do an improvisation, there will always be some form of physicality to it that you will not expect from a plus size woman. Theater, I felt I was accepted just the way I am. And because I think theater looks at skill, I didn't have that as much in theater, definitely in film. Dressing, when you plus size, you must cover up. I have the most gorgeous legs. I have the most gorgeous hips, boobs for Africa. I love my cheekbones. I love the way when I smile, my glasses fogs up because my eyes close. I love me. If you are not going to book me for this role, at least if I have only changed one person's view about what I should be as a woman, then mission accomplished.
I love that. I love that power. Your body is your being. When it comes to music, there's a more like implicit use of the body. There is almost like an athleticism in terms of playing violin. With singing, it's a matter of breathing and doing yoga. I do yoga to be able to get in touch with my breathing as well. If I had to move towards more, in the spirit of reclaiming your body as your own, I almost want to say that I apply myself, especially when I'm singing and especially when I'm being lyrical, to embolden my physique. It's something that you find when you are given a specific role to play. But when I'm talking about the things that I sing about, which is overcoming heartbreak by empowering yourself and knowing that it is a lesson to learn for the better and for the better future. When I think of that overcoming, I think of an emboldened body and one that is towering over the entire auditorium, the entire piano, the entire audience. I felt a lot in terms of applying that physicality, that it can really, excuse my language, but fucking intimidate men, especially when you're dealing with things that aren't typically regarded as female or woman expertise. It is a struggle to figure out how to network and compromise your networking like that. It compromises important opportunities. And you have to think, okay, do I like shimmy myself down to your idea of a woman during these kind of times? It's like where people aren't getting work, where people are suffering because of their art, literally. But it's very important to realize that how far you've come did not have anything to do with how small you made yourself. It is how big you made yourself. But to anyone that wants to dim that, I kind of want to say, just fuck it. Yeah,